Hello, hello, and welcome back to a brand new podcast episode here on Abundant Self. And today, with the one and only Aryana, I'm so happy and excited for you to be here.
Same here. I'm super excited. Thanks for having me, Jules.
Yay! Now, for the audience, for someone listening who's like, who is this chick? Let me really quickly introduce you, and then you can, of course, add something else if you want to. So, Aryana, you're one of my past students from Abundant Self Academy, which is so cool because we got to work together one-on-one. You are now a spiritual life coach and you help corporate girlies who feel burnt out or stressed to really reclaim their glow and their happiness. Yeah?
Perfectly summed up. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Exactly.
And now, when we go back to your journey, and especially, like maybe even through, maybe back to December 2022 when we first were like talking about this whole coaching thing. Can you share with the audience how did you feel back then and what changed to December 2022 to now you being like just in your own glow as well?
Yes, for sure. So I have to say this past year was one of the most transformative years of my life. I'm so grateful for it. And I have to say back in like last year, December 22, when we were in touch, that was really one of the low points. Let's say one of the low points of my life. And if I look back, I kind of almost don't recognize myself. So maybe for a little context, I worked in a, let's say, prestigious role in a old, big corporate German company. And from the outside, it looked like, wow, she has an amazing job. And at the beginning, it really was like, I was really happy. The position was nice and challenging. But then it changed because first they tell you have to do this and that, and I was performing well, and I understand first you need to prove yourself, but at some point it was more like they're taking advantage of me, and there are a lot of things happening, but it was this typical corporate things that you just experience, and many other women I believe experience. And last year I have to say it reached a low point where I didn't feel appreciated. I overworked myself to a point that I didn't take care of myself. Like, really, you have to imagine that I sometimes even thought it's not about not working out. That of course I didn't have time for that, but it reached to a point where I felt like I didn't have time to wash my hair. Like it was crazy. I was like, no, let's do this email or let's skip lunch, and I was glued to my desk like 8 hours and more, like laser focus. And and then it showed. I gained weight. I felt super uncomfortable in my body. And it was, like that's one thing, your body and gaining weight, but the other thing, which is hurts even more, is like the mental thing. I felt super sluggish, down, depressed, all of these things. And even my hair started to fall out, like you'd mentioned, and my hair grew so much. And back last year, I had quite, for me, I always have long hair. And for me, it was like I needed to chop them off. And people thought like, oh, cool, what a nice fashion idea. But the only reason was that my hair was falling out and I needed to chop it off. So yeah, that was the state. And at that time when we talked, I remember that when we talked, I couldn't even focus on what you were saying. You were offering me this opportunity to have this coaching. And in my head, I was like, oh, what do I have to do tomorrow? And what task do I need to accomplish? So crazy. I remember that. But it always kind of stuck with me because what you were saying sparked something in me. And you were also saying, Ari, like, I can imagine you being a coach. And I was like, what is she even talking about? And I don't see it. But this thought you planted in my head and never left me. And then I was like, okay, yeah, that was really amazing. That was the start when that was, let's say, one of the milestones that I can trace back. And then, I said in December, I reached a point, I was like, okay, fuck it. I just can't do it anymore. I throw in the towel. If I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. I just don't want to live like this anymore. And I took a longer break, did some self-care, went to my parents. They gave me so much love. My mom cooked for me. So that was a good break where I could just hold on for a second and just write, sleep, take care of myself, and figure out what I want and what I don't want. And then at the beginning of the year, I set for myself 3 intentions. I was like, okay, I don't want to live like before. Still, I need a job. And I believe there are two ways. Either it's really your job, you're doing everything right, and it's just toxic, it's your boss, it's not you. Or what I think is actually more common, it's both. It's also you. Of course, there's a toxic environment that likes to take advantage of you and have like cheap labor, but it's also you that is letting it happen, that you give others, you let others take advantage of you. You maybe want to please people, or you cannot say no, all of these things. Yes. And then I thought, okay, let me try that. Maybe if I change myself, then it will be much better. And actually, it worked for the first couple months. I took care of myself. I said no more. I really tried to work only the hours that I'm paid for. So that worked for a while, but still, it was nothing that fulfilled me anymore. I didn't like the people. And that was, I think, around March or April. March was the time when we started to work. And I was like before, okay, I didn't know back then what Jules could have offered me. I had also even thoughts like, okay, I can do it alone maybe. But then I reached a point, I was like, okay, I came this far, but now I feel a little lost. I don't know how to proceed. And that's why when we got in touch again.
Right.
Yeah.
How to get started. Thank you so much, first of all, for sharing all of this, and also the vulnerable parts of, you losing hair due to so much stress and people at the job using you and your abilities and your, people pleasing tendencies almost to a degree that is just unhealthy and toxic. So thanks for sharing that. Because I'm just sure that so many, as you said before, so many other women can relate to maybe being in a unfulfilling job, or being stuck at a situation where they can't say no, and setting those boundaries, especially in a job, especially where there's this rank with a boss and you're just the employee.
Right.
It's very difficult. So I would really like to go a little bit deeper into that. Do you, back at that stage, like in December, January, do you have anything that you can right now share, any tip or any advice to get started on setting those boundaries, especially when it comes to your job and, a toxic job?
Mm-hmm. It's a very good question. And I think the first step is to really be super honest with yourself and admit it, because I always thought of myself as super confident and I don't need to please people. At some point that was true, let's say with my friends or so on, but it was different in the workspace, like you described. And in my company, it was very this hierarchies, and I definitely wanted to please my boss and get rewarded by him and all of these things. So maybe number one, be super, super honest with yourself. That's the first step, to get just aware of it. And then I would say, I think that what helped me the most was really also to do what you're paid for.
Yes. No more.
Why would you no more? Why? Of course, maybe in the beginning, all right, you need to prove yourself a little bit, okay. But then at some point, why would you do more? It makes no sense.
Yeah, even that, why do we even have the need to prove ourselves? It's
You're right.
so absurd. However, in this society that we're living in, it's almost a standard. It's almost normal to give so much more. And then, of course, I don't know from my experience, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about that. You see the coworkers and you see your your squad, your team members doing more than they should, or doing more than what is maybe even expected from them. So you're obviously automatically are like, oh, I also have to do more. I have to do more and more and more.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly like this. But let me tell you
Mhm.
something. It was very interesting. So I was scared that in January, when I say, okay, that's my New Year's intention, I really want to do it. I'm doing this, the hours and the tasks that I'm paid for, that I was hired for, not more. And I was scared that, and I was even preparing for some talks where they would evaluate me and say,
Like in the mirror.
what's wrong? And so, yeah. But you know what happened to my surprise is that I performed better. I came off as better because I was not the bimbo that was
Yes.
doing everything, but I had standards. I said no, and by
Confident.
all confidence, actually saying no is very powerful, especially
Hmm.
as a woman. Because
Hmm.
men, I don't know why, in my experience, they have it easier. They just say no, and it's very simple for them, from what I've seen. But for us women, it's kind of a little bit tricky because we want to be, I don't know, a good girl and say yes and do the right thing and help the
Right.
coworkers, help the boss. But when you say no, that's a boss move. Like it's great. Like I exactly. So don't be
Yeah.
scared to set boundaries because you show confidence with this. And also, yeah, like you appear as a boss, as a confident boss, a confident woman, and you do the things that you paid for. And you then have time for a life outside your work. And that charges your battery. You look better, you glow, and people notice that also at work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Yes, yes, yes. So for you, overcoming the fear of being rejected, or overcoming that fear of, oh no, no, like criticism or like judgment, what will the boss say if I say no? Was that also a thing? Like, did you think, sorry, like, did you have to go through like seriously managing that fear?
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely scared. So, oh my God,
Mhm.
what will they think?
Yes.
Will I not get my promotion?
Mhm.
And all of this stuff. Will I have a bad evaluation because that was up in February? So I was definitely scared, but it was the best thing ever. So it
Oh,
was even good. It's good to set
yes,
boundaries. You don't have to
absolutely.
do everything. Yeah.
For anyone or for everyone as well, especially because you've been at such a low point where your health was suffering, your well-being was suffering, your mental health was suffering, your mind. So of course, it was just like almost like the top of the iceberg where you were like, okay, I can't no more. Like this cannot go on. So I'm just
Yeah.
very proud of you because it just
Thank you
led
so
like
much.
one step to the other, led to this glowing, radiant version that you are today. And this in just what, like 6, 7 months, which is just absolutely incredible.
Yes, absolutely. I'm also so happy. And then the next milestone was really when I started to work with you, because
Mhm.
that was how far I got by my own. And
Yes.
I, to be honest with you, I also had something like, do I need a coach or a therapist? I'm okay. Or I don't know. I had all of this weird, let's say, limiting beliefs, but something inside of me, I thank God I listened to my intuition and I thought, no, I think now is the right time. In December, timing was not right, but now I feel like she can help me to
Yeah.
see things clear, and you really did. I'm so grateful for that.
So I'm so grateful too. And especially what you say about this piece, like this intuition piece, that you
Mm,
tuned in, tapped into your intuition and actually realized, hey, yes, I want that clarity. And it is okay also to ask for help, because what I think, and again, this is like very much to how we were brought up also, that we are very in that like masculine energy of like hustling and grinding and
yes.
going, going, going. And so it's hard for us to ask for help. It's hard for us to receive that support and
Oh my
receive
God.
that help.
Yes, absolutely. Really, for me, it's so hard to ask for help. For some reason,
Hmm.
I don't like it, but it's the reason that you just mentioned. It's just
Yeah,
so true. And about also the masculine energy. I mean, both are valuable, masculine and feminine
obviously.
energy, but
Mhm.
right? But at that point, I felt like I was 99% in my masculine. And that was one of the key learnings when I started to work with you, because I remember I was like, okay, what's the agenda? Jules, what do I need to prepare for next time? Do I have enough time to prepare? And you're like,
Yes.
okay, Ari, take a deep breath, chill.
I remember
And you
that
mirrored
so
it.
well. Hmm.
Yeah, you do. Oh God, it was so funny because I was suddenly like, because you looked at me, you hold the mirror, and I suddenly noticed how I was acting like a lunatic a little bit, like super like stressed. What should I do next? And I was like, okay, chill.
Hmm.
I don't need to always take action. It's okay to rest. It's equally as important. Yeah.
Oh, totally. And it's so funny, exactly as you described the situation. I remember it so well because also you were like, it was actually really good because I saw this blind spot that you haven't noticed yet, but like me then reflecting that to you. And I think that's why coaching is also so powerful because
Yeah.
I kind of like called you out on it and you're like, oh, shoot, like, right, that's what's happening. And why? Because of the way how you used to do it in your job. Like, your corporate job was mostly about delivering and hustling and grinding and doing all the things. So,
Yeah.
as you said, like, it was just like 99% always go, go, go. And so suddenly, then coming into like a coaching container or some form of mentorship where I'm like, let's do it like flowy and intuitive. And let's just meditate. For you, it was like, what's going on?
I was like, we have 1 hour. Like, let's go. Yeah. Oh, but
Yes,
that was
but
so healing. Yeah. Yeah, you showed me
healing,
that blind
exactly.
spot. Mm,
That's what I just wanted to say, healing. Like, that's why it's so, as you said, it's so important to have like the balance of both the masculine and the feminine energy. And when I
yes.
see that there is too much masculinity, like masculine energy, which is totally fine, but I can just, I know that there are tools that help us as a woman also to then reclaim that power in terms of being able to receive and yeah, also what we spoke about, setting boundaries and
Yes.
just allowing and being, which is beautiful.
Exactly.
How
Yes.
Now my question is, how do you, of course, we went through Abundant Self Academy together and the whole like mindset and manifestation work. How did you feel tapping into the mindset and doing the inner work and actually taking time to reflect on what's going on up there? How did that show in your outer reality and in your
Mm,
relationship, life, then also your job, your
yes.
environment?
Oh, such a great question. So I said this, how to also live in your feminine energy. That was one key learning, but then the mindset shifts and breaking through the limiting beliefs. That was the other thing. And
Mhm.
I remember that at that point, I felt a little bit trapped because I was like, okay, I tried to change myself, work to some degree, but I'm not super passionate there anymore. Like, I just simply don't like it anymore. And, but I was like, okay, what should I do? Either I stay here or I go the other extreme and quit my job without anything. And I couldn't see clearly. And you helped me with this limiting belief that there's only, let's say, these two options for me. And I said, hey, Ari, you can look for another job. There are a million jobs. You don't have to go to the other extreme. And that's how it started. And then you taught me all of these techniques. You have tea tapping and also journaling and the whole manifestation process. And then I was like, okay, let's let's allow this and let's give into it, even though I feel some resistance. But then I was really writing down, completely delusional, what I want from let's say, transition job before I'm able to be self-employed. And I wrote everything down, and it's crazy that it really manifested so quickly that within 2 weeks, I got an offer from my dream job. Like, it was insane. I was like, what the hell? I just wrote down these things like I want to work remotely, so I can be also with my family. They live in a different country. Or I want to work this hours. I want more freedom. I want nice colleagues. I want to be financially rewarded. I want to have fun. And I was like, okay, delusional. But let's say if it's 2, 3 ticked out of this list, then it will be fine. And I can honestly say now in my new job, I'm so happy. It's exactly what I wanted, and it manifested so quickly. It's insane. Like, if you just open and just believe in it and also let go a little bit, then it's insane what can happen and what can change.
Yes, because
Yeah.
of the power of your mind, because you stopped limiting yourself. I think that is like the
Yes.
key. What I can see through your transformation, of course, alongside the confidence and the strength, the power, regaining also your health, your well-being, time to do self-care, to do all the things. But one of the
Yeah.
keys, I think, was for you just not limiting yourself anymore, and we did that, as you said, through EFT tapping and also the journaling or other sessions where we meditated together, or I guided you through a visualization that really allowed you to just be free
Yeah.
and not make your mind kind of like
Exactly.
close anything down, because there are no limitations, and the only limitation that you have is your mind. So when you get to break free, that's when you see those results. So I'm just so
Yeah.
grateful. I'm so happy and so proud of you, because, as you say, it can happen really, really fast when you allow it to happen.
True. True. It's
Yeah.
nothing like, oh my God, and it will be changes in 5 years. No, it can happen pretty quickly. And yeah, I'm so grateful for you that you guided me through that phase, and make this weird restrictions like explode, and that I could be more expansive and really allow myself to think about what do I really want without this limiting all the time. Oh, this is not possible. It's not possible for me. And yeah, that's beautiful once you can do this shifts, and then what's happening is really magical sometimes.
Absolutely. What would you say, Ari, to someone listening right now who is maybe still in that process of, first of all, not really knowing if it's possible for her, I mean, or them, like my audience is mostly female. So when she's like right now in a situation where she just doesn't really have that confidence, that self-belief, that self-trust also, is there anything that you would say that helped you the most, or what helped you the most?
Yeah. So I would say that I know exactly how it feels to be in that dark, low spot where you don't even have time to think. You're just depressed and
Totally.
everything just sucks. And yeah, the spiral. And so I would say that have trust and feel into the intuition of yourself that change is possible. If I did it, if Jules did it, then it's definitely also possible for you. And you
Yes.
just have to start somewhere, and working with a coach can be a great first step. It's
Yes,
possible.
absolutely. And taking one step at a time also, not feeling like, oh, I have to do now all of those things because they say this is good or this changes, but really allowing you to take one step at a time. Just knowing
Yes,
that if you do that, and even if it's just literally like tiny baby steps, you are eventually going to see massive, massive
that's
shifts
yeah,
in your life. Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
this is
That's the best
amazing.
way.
Yes, totally. Is there anything else before we wrap up this incredibly inspiring podcast episode? Is there anything else that you want to tell the audience?
First of all, thank you for having me. It was also inspiring for me. if there is anyone out there who just listened to us and was like me, stuck in a corporate job that is super unfulfilling, they don't see how to get out of it. I'm super happy if you would look at my TikTok, maybe sincerely Ari1, and get in touch with me or with Jules. Yeah, that's it, I think.
Oh, I love that. Yes, I'm going to leave all of your details, Ari, down in the show notes below so you guys can check it out and check her out because your content is incredible. And I know that there are so many corporate girlies out there, or just in general, stressed and burnt out girls, women who need you and who need your help. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Ari, for being here, for joining us, and I see you very soon.
Thank you, Jules. Bye bye.
Bye.